Hello, my two favorite adventurers, Jai and Gia. Are you ready for a story? I have a really special one for you today. It's all about your Abba, from when he was out on the big, wide sea. A story full of moonlight, a little bit of magic, and the sound of the ocean singing.
I thought so. Okay, get all snuggled in. We're going to pretend we're on a ship, traveling across the waves, all the way to a secret island where a really amazing adventure is waiting.
All right, so our story starts on a really quiet night. It was so peaceful, you could almost imagine hearing the stars twinkle. Your Abba even gave this part of his adventure a special name. He called it a beach of stars. Imagine this. The air smelled so good, all salty from the ocean and like warm sand and sweet coconuts. And there was Abba, standing on his ship, the MT Mina. You know who that's named after, right? Your Nani, of course. He took a big, deep breath, and he had absolutely no idea that the island was about to share a beautiful secret with him.
So he and his friend, Mr. Das, got off the ship to walk on the beach. And as they took their first steps, something incredible happened. With every single step, the sand underneath their feet began to sparkle. It was this soft, glowing blue light. Wow! It was like they were walking on a carpet made of stars that had fallen right out of the sky.
Abba couldn't believe his eyes. He was so surprised. But Mr. Das just smiled, and he told Abba what was happening. He said it was the sea's glow. Can you believe it? There were teeny tiny little living things in the ocean, in the sand, and they were making their own light. It's nature's own little nightlight. Pretty magical, right?
But you know what? That glowing sand, that wasn't even the biggest secret the beach had that night. Oh no. The next thing Abba found was even more special. He was about to meet the absolute tiniest little sailors in the whole wide world. So as they kept walking, Abba saw some little holes in the sand. And then, wait, he saw something moving. He got down on his knees to look really close. What do you think it was, Jai? What do you think, Gia? He saw little, tiny heads popping right out of the sand. They were baby sea turtles. Not just one or two, but tons of them. They were all hatching out of their eggs buried deep in the warm sand, and they were so small, you could hold one right in the palm of your hand. All these baby turtles had a super important job to do. They had to follow the bright light from the moon to find their way home to the big ocean.
Abba just watched. He was amazed. It was like a tiny parade of turtles marching to the sea. But then, something happened. And their really important journey was suddenly in big trouble.
You see, there was a big lighthouse on the island, and its giant light swept across the beach. But just then, the light moved away and poof, the beach went dark. The poor baby turtles couldn't see the moonlight shining on the water anymore. They got all mixed up and started crawling in the wrong direction, away from their ocean home. Oh no, the little turtles were lost. If they kept going the wrong way, they'd never make it. They'd be all alone. What could Abba do? How could he help them find their way back to the sea?
Well, this next part of the story, this is where we see how kind and smart your Abba is. He didn't get worried. He just stood there and thought, what can I do? What do I have that can help these little guys? And then, ding! He had an idea. He was carrying a small lantern, the one he used on the ship. He looked at its warm, golden light and thought, wait a minute, my lantern, it can be their moon.
So, you know what he did? He walked very carefully down to the edge of the water. He put his lantern on the sand and aimed its beautiful golden light right at the waves. And guess what? The little turtles saw it. They stopped, turned all the way around, and started crawling right toward the lantern. It was amazing. A little parade following their own private moon, all thanks to Abba.
Abba and Mr. Das walked right alongside them like their very own bodyguards, just to make sure they were safe. And then, the first little turtle made it to the water. Plop! Right into the sea. And then another one. Plop! And another. Until every single one of those tiny sailors was safely swimming home. But then, something really special happened. The very last little turtle, before it went into the water, it stopped. It turned its tiny little head and looked right up at Abba. It was almost like it was saying, thank you. Mr. Das saw it too, and he smiled and said something your Abba never forgot. He said, that's how nature remembers kindness.
So, the little turtles were safe. The rescue was done. But the magic of that night, well, it wasn't quite over. As Abba walked back to his ship, he felt like the ocean itself was about to tell him one last secret.
Later that night, back on the ship, Abba was too excited to sleep, so he went out on the deck and just listened to the ocean. And the sound of the waves, it sounded different. It was like a soft, sweet song, like a lullaby. And Abba just knew, deep down in his heart, that it was the turtles singing a thank you song from their home in the sea.
Abba wanted to remember this night forever, so he wrote it all down in his journal. He wanted to be able to tell the story to his family, to your dad, Eshon, when he was a little boy. And he knew that one day he'd want to tell it to you too. And this is what he wrote. Helping nature is like helping yourself, because we are all part of the same world. Isn't that a lovely thought?
And you know what else he did? Right next to the words, he drew a picture. Just for you. It was a little drawing of all the baby turtles following the light from his lantern, all on their way home.
And that was the big lesson Abba learned that night, on that magical, starry beach. It's that everyone and everything, no matter how teeny tiny, deserves our kindness.
So, Jai and Gia, I have a question for you. The next time you're outside and you see a little ladybug, or maybe you hear the birds singing, I wonder what would happen if you were extra kind or just listened really closely. What kind of thank you song do you think nature would sing just for you?